Good morning, traders. This is Pierre Wilkie with StartupTrading.com. It is 8:46 a.m. Eastern Time on Monday, November 2nd, 2020. So, a lot of stuff going on this week. We have, obviously the election tomorrow. We have a couple of, Red Star News events at 10 a.m. this week, but nothing's going to outweigh the election. The FOMC on Thursday afternoon, and then non-farm payroll on Friday. So the title of my video is the weekend hedge. So what I wanted to point out is this little block here between these gray vertical lines is Friday's session, right? So in the overnight, right, down, back up, the bell rings up, unable to go higher, right, back down to the bottom of the range, and then we just kind of screw around near this bottom of the range, right? We make a incrementally lower low by 1 point, right? And then as we kind of get close to the weekend, right about 330, 340, right around in there, right? We get these 50-point up move, right, that happens in about 20 minutes, just taking us back up to the top of the range. Now, there was also a short that was holding. I'll let Jack get into that when he does his video if he, looks at it. But there was a short that was holding, right? But we've had several days now to where the short entry did not complete its profit target. And we also had, this is what I look for when you get a big move over the weekend, right? This is going into the weekend. This is one of the things I want to see, right? This is the futures, right? Or hedge fund people that manage a lot of money, they can't buy and sell, their positions out at the end of the day. They have to hedge them with futures. So you get algo play that screws with futures, right? And you get hedge funds hedging, right? And you get even bigger institutions that are allowed to hedge. Not all institutions can hedge. Your 401k cannot hedge, just so you're aware. All they can do is go into something that they think is going to drop less when the market drops, and they have cash positions that they have to maintain, right? They can only have, they have a maximum of what they can hold in cash. But with all that said, we had our big move up, right? So what this told me was risk managers, right, are thinking that there's more risk to the upside than there is to the downside. So what happens? We come into Sunday night open, they unwind that position, right? Because now futures are open, they can adjust at will. So they take back off those hedges, right? And they're sitting here, going around. What happens when the euros come in? They pop it back up, and this is back up towards that top of the range, right? This is around where we struggled with on Thursday. But this is the weekend hedge, and then the unwind of that hedge position as futures reopen. This pattern usually will play out when you have, a large swing in the last 20 to 30 minutes of the trading day. And again, this also ended up where the short entry was again on Friday, right? Does it look like the short entry completed? It did not. So now that we're heading back up here, we'll see, right? We have a little bit of overhead supply. We've got Friday's bell high to look at. We'll look at the overnight range so far, 79.25 points. So just giving you a little background at where we're at. We had our little breakdown. This is bell to bell candles only. These are daily candles. We're gonna open up right here, right around 3,300, which would be right around the top of this ledge on the node, on this profile. And in the overnight, we got up to basically 23, 25 right in there, which is this ledge. So we're between these, we're in this valley overnight since futures reopened in here. And there's a little bit more of a bias, above here, right? So these are little blocks, right? So basically there's a block of trading action that's between 33.88 that goes down to the midpoint of 50. Then it goes back down to 33.12, and then there's a valley from basically, you can even set that up right around that, 19 to 23 is a top, right? We'll come back down here to this node, which is basically 82, and then we fall to 32.42, and then down to 31 3192.5 is the bottom of this, and you can see there's a big valley in here, right? So holding in these broader nodes, and if we look at untested points of control, the point of control from Friday's session, or where the most amount of volume went off Friday, is at 32.42. We are basically 60 points above that right now is where we're going to open. So if we turn on the extended, for those of you that it's a little bit harder to follow what I'm saying here, let's just turn on the extended session, and you can see, what we're looking at right now. Right, so we're still holding below this 33.12 to 33.23 so far. Getting above there, right, it just gets you into this action. You can split these nodes like I was saying. So as we look at all this kind of coming into today's session, we can see, looking at all the indexes now, we're right around Friday's high for the Russell. We're above it for the ES. We're well above it for the Dow, right? And we're sitting here messing with these single prints from Friday for the NASDAQ, and we're above the bottom end. So I think the first thing that I'm going to want to watch is the NASDAQ, right? Can it stay above this block of single prints? And I'll give you that single print. So you're looking at basically, let's just call it 11,000 to 11,032. It's actually, let me rephrase that, 11,100 to 11,132. And it's actually 11,097.5 to 11,131.75. We're looking to see if the NASDAQ stays above that, right? Getting back below that for the NASDAQ is just going to lead us lower. So a couple of things that can play out in today's session, right? We've talked about game theory on Friday, and the risk is perceived as being to the upside now, and not really to the downside. So kind of keep the headlines out of your head with all the pessimism, with everything else going on. Because remember, the stock market looks forward, 4 to 9 months into the future. The problems that are in the news today, the market does not see in 4 to 9 months from now. So let's watch the price action, and it'll dictate, right? So if we fall back below this pink box, I think that we're likely to either just have selling the overpriced NASDAQ stocks and maybe going into some more stocks that are reasonably priced if you look at the PEs. So what you do is you look at the price per earnings, the debt that someone has, right, and the growth rate. So the PE should never be higher than the growth rate, right? That's what you're looking for. That's why we run these numbers. So anytime that their multiple is higher, the PE is multiples higher than the growth rate, that stock is overpriced. So there's a lot of NASDAQ stocks that are overpriced right now, and they've been overpriced for a while. So we'll see, right, if managers have the appetite to start going back into those overpriced names or not. That's going to be an indication as well. So first read is to watch the pink box on the NASDAQ, above or below. So if we have weakness in the NASDAQ, we're likely to have weakness in the others as well, and thus there's a rotation from overvalued to less overvalued, right? Extremely overvalued to slightly overvalued, let's call it. So as we look at that, if that pink box doesn't hold and we don't start holding some of these other prices, right, we're likely to get an 80% roll today, which would go down to value area low and possibly take out Friday's bell low as well. Otherwise, I think you're just watching these sequences going up. So let's look at those aforementioned sequences going up. You can see from the overnight high, we've got sequences down. From the overnight low, we've got sequences going up. Obviously, this is a short-lived sequence from the high because we're closer to the high than we are to the low, and we haven't broken any of these levels yet. So right now, 32.83 to 32.92 should be a first impulse back up later for the ES. Looking at the NASDAQ, it's not even able to get back below its 38.2 long, and this is just a session. This is a micro draw. Just looking at the session, not looking at anything else. I'll let Jack give you all the longer term draws. I'm looking at this under an extreme microscope. And so, getting back above 11,177, right, should stop out the bears, and we should run up to the target of 11,265. Looking at the Russell, same thing. It can't even get down to its 38.2 long right now. So real quick, we'll go through some of this stuff. Looking at the NASDAQ on the longer term picture, right? We're right at this support resistance area. This runs from 11,144.5 to 11,185, right? We can roll back over from here, and maybe we can complete those short targets that we were unable to complete on Thursday and Friday. This trend is, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to see that the trend is down from this high that was put in on October 13th, this swing high, right? So we'll see if this resistance holds, right? Getting back above 11,185, right, is going to start, stair-stepping up this week more than likely. And I'm going to end this here just a second. We'll look at the Russell and the Dow real quick as well. So the Dow is holding its line, right, that it needs to hold. This is like the ES's 32.12 line or 33.12 line. So 15.34.30, right, it's holding it. The next major resistance above is 15.82.30. And that's where, you've got the bigger areas of overhead supply. Losing that, right, we need to get back, the bears need to take it back below this 15.34, and that could lead us all the way down to basically 14.95. And I'll try to start a little bit earlier tomorrow and this week as well, so I can and I'll try to be done a little bit earlier, well, because I know that Jack's gonna have a lot to go over as well this week. So for the Dow, it's 27,100, and it was obviously the Russell I was on before. So looking at that's really what it needs to get back over. It's still a moonshot from that, and it's holding this 26,925 right now. And really, the major ones are, you can just see the charts telling you 26,510, and then as well down here 26,000 basically even. So I'm going to leave it there. Watch the action again. Watch, see if this basically 11,100 holds in the NASDAQ, and then see. If not, we're probably on track to test value area low on these charts tonight. We're going to have a complete rollover from this. So watch the up sequences. When they break, it should start just heading towards maybe those completions that we're unable to finish from last week. I hope this helps. You guys have a great day, and it should be a fun week.